6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will address the 19th NAM Summit and 3rd South Summit that begins in Uganda today. Any business or industry that earns a capital over 80 million rupees per year must be registered to pay value-added tax. The funds are allocated to pay the 5,000 rupees salary hike to the public servants from this month. 300,000 more families added to Aswasuma beneficiary list after consideration of appeals. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says if all relevant persons pay taxes, the percentage of tax per individual is compulsorily decreased. A photograph of veteran musician R. Muthusamy will be unveiled at SLBC premises today. News overseas: at least 10 school children dead after vessel capsized. In sports, Sri Lanka clinched the T20 series against Zimbabwe 2-1. And those are the headlines. The President's Media Division says President Ranil Wickremesinghe is set to take centre stage at the 19th Summit of the Heads of the State and the Government of Non-Aligned Movement and the 3rd South Summit of the Group of 77 and China, scheduled from today to the 22nd of this month in Kampala, Uganda. President Wickremesinghe will address both the NAM Summit and the South Summit at the invitation of the President of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. The President arrived in the Kampala airport last evening and warmly welcomed by ministerial group of Ugandan group. During his visit to Kampala, he is slated to engage in discussions with counterparts from the Global South with a special focus on strengthening ties with leaders from the African region. This year's summit is themed Deepening Cooperation for Shared Global Affluence and will kick off with meetings of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and senior officials. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Simbalapitiya says that any business or industry that earns a capital over 80 million rupees per year must be registered to pay value-added tax. The businessmen and industrialists who get the VAT registration should display it properly at their respective business premises. The minister has announced that the Treasury has allocated funds for the disbursement of the promised 5,000 rupees increase in wages of public sector employees. This increase is part of the first phase of the 2024 budget proposal aiming to raise the cost of living allowance for state employees by 10,000 rupees from 7,800 to 17,800 rupees. State employees will receive an extra 5,000 rupees starting this month, with another 5,000 rupees increase scheduled from April 2024. President Ranil Wickremesinghe had announced the 10,000 rupees increase in the cost of living allowance during 2024 budget speech on 13th of November 2023. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Acting Minister of Finance Shan Semasinghe says that 300,000 additional families were found to be qualified for the Aswasuma Welfare Benefits Program after reviewing 640,000 appeals and objections thus far regarding the beneficiary lists. Joining a discussion held with the Welfare Benefits Board at the Finance Ministry today, or rather yesterday, Semasinghe said that the total number of recipients of the Aswasuma program now exceeds 1.7 million families. Meanwhile, a total of 5,209 families which were receiving the welfare benefits thus far have been disqualified to receive the relevant benefits as a result of the considered appeals and objections, while the welfare benefit level of 2,567 other families have been downgraded. The acting finance minister, who pointed out that more than 1.1 million appeals and objections have been received in total, asserted that the consideration of all those appeals and objections will be completed as soon as possible. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says if all relevant persons pay taxes, the percentage of tax per individual is compulsorily decreased, and this will be a solution for the existing of economic crisis as well. 72% of the tax income has to be separated to pay or has to be allocated to pay salaries of public servants and pension allowances. The rest has to be paid as relief for ready or needy persons. To have an economic progress, the government has to earn a considerable tax income to maintain government expenses. The minister made these comments at a ceremony held in Panadura yesterday. A photograph of veteran musician R. Muthusamy will be unveiled at Sri Lanka Broadcasting premises today. This is to mark respect and gratitude for his unique service rendered to Sri Lanka's music field. To felicitate the late musician, a musical show comprised with his significant creations will commence at the Ananda Samarkand studio at 3 p.m. today. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
Controller General of the Immigration and Immigration, LSHJ Ilukpiti, said that the passenger ferry service between India's Nagapattinam and Kankasinture in Jaffna will be initiated this week. Addressing the media, he said that so far the initial program required to initiate the service has been completed and the immigration officers have already been deployed at the KKH's port. However, the official launch of the ferry service was held on October 2023 as the Cheriyapani passenger ferry docked at Kankasinture port while resuming the ferry service between the two countries next week. The inaugural voyage of the Cheriyapani passenger ferry was commemorated with a plaque exchange. And that came to you in Top News.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
This is Watchlight.
The Education Ministry has announced that the dates to commence the second phase of the third term of the government and government-approved private schools. Accordingly, the second phase of the third school term is scheduled to begin on 5th of February. It was initially supposed to begin on 1st of February.
Coming up, world news.
First, the headlines: at least 10 school children dead after vessel in India capsized. Iran summons Pakistan envoy after 9 killed in retaliatory strikes. Pope Francis says that sexual pleasure is a gift from God. And those are the headlines of the world news. At least 12 pupils or school children and 2 teachers are thought to have drowned in western India after a boat ferrying them to a school picnic capsized yesterday. Local police confirmed that the number of deaths to BBC Gujarati and said a rescue operation is still ongoing. The cause of the incident, which happened on Hani Lake in Bedodora in the state of Gujarat, is not yet known. Iran has condemned Pakistani missile strikes on its territory close to the border between the two countries and summoned its envoy to Pakistan. Pakistan carried out missile strikes inside Iran's border on Thursday morning after Tehran's attack on Pakistani soil on Tuesday. Pakistan and Iran have long accused each other of harboring militant groups that carry out attacks from regions along their shared border. Pakistan's foreign ministry said the strikes hit terrorist hideouts in Iran's Sistan Baluchistan province. Pope Francis said that sexual pleasure is a gift from God that should be disciplined with patience. He also warned against pornography, which he said brought satisfaction without relationship and could lead to addiction. The Pope was speaking at his general audience in Vatican on Wednesday. And that's world news. Development news. In a bid to curb traffic violations, the Sri Lanka police has decided to trace traffic offenders in Colombo using the surveillance camera system. Acting Inspector General of Police Deshwant Tendakon says this initiative will be implemented next Monday. Accordingly, the traffic fine sheet and the respective CCTV footage will be sent to the police station closest to the registered owner of the vehicle involved, the acting IGP explained. The decision was taken after observing that a substantial number of traffic rule violations have gone unnoticed by the police officers stationed at the location where surveillance cameras have been set up in Colombo.
Moving on with sports news.
Registered 2-1 T20 tournament victory against Zimbabwe as they beat the visitors by 9 wickets in the third and final match. Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to bowl first. Zimbabwe only managed to score 82 runs in 13 overs. Wanidu Asaranga took 4 for 15. In reply, Sri Lanka had a good start by scoring 50 runs in the power play, with Kusal Mendis leading the way with 32 runs. The chase was led by Pathum Nishanka, who scored 39, and Kusal Mendis, who scored 34. And they had a 64-run partnership between them. Sri Lanka won the match by 9 wickets with 55 balls remaining.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu veena habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Yesterday witnessed a significant surge in the stock and retail prices of various vegetable varieties at economic centres. The stock and retail prices of a kilogram of carrot and beans are at all-time high at the Ratnalana and Narayanpeta economic centres. According to the prices, the economic centres in Ratnalana, a kilo of carrot was received rupees 2,400 and a kilo of beans at a rate of 1,800. The stock and retail prices of the kilo of carrots at the Narayanpeta economic centre have been increased to 2,800 a kilo and beans to 1,400. And that came to you in Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu veena habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to weather report. The Met Department says showers will occur at times in northern, north central, eastern and Luo provinces. Showers or thundershowers may occur at several places elsewhere of the island after 2 p.m. today. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters are likely at some places in western, Sub-Brahman and northwestern provinces. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sub-Brahman and central provinces and in Gaul and Mathura districts during the morning hours too. And that was the weather report. To wind up this news podcast, let's look at the main points once again. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will address the 19th NAM Summit and 3rd South Summit that begins in Uganda today. Any business or industry that earns a capital over 80 million rupees per year must be registered to pay value-added tax. The funds are allocated to pay the 5,000 rupees salary hike to the public servants from this month. 300,000 more families added to Aswesma beneficiary list after consideration of the appeals. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says, if all relevant persons pay taxes, the percentage of the tax per individual is compulsorily decreased. A photograph of veteran musician R. Muthusamy will be unveiled at the SLBC premises today. News overseas, at least 10 school children dead after vessel capsized. In sports, Sri Lanka clinched the T20 series against Zimbabwe 2-1. With that, we conclude this morning news podcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.